Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for staying with us. Well, along with all the physical changes, the University of Nevada is also seeing changes to its programs and to its people. I'm back with University President Mark Johnson. Now, thank you so much for your time coming on the show.
Glad to be here.
I always love having you. So, okay, obviously a big part of the university is participating in Nevada's economic growth and economic diversification. So how big of a role would you say the university is playing in kind of generating employable people to take these new jobs?
We're having a major impact on the workforce for the new Nevada, as the governor likes to say. We frequently hear about the need for workers technically trained to go into the manufacturing industry, and that's very important, and our community colleges are doing a great job in responding to the industry needs. But the industry also needs managers, creators, and people of that nature. So the college degree, the four-year degree, master's, PhD, are all really contributors to the workforce. We're producing more than 4,200 degrees a year. So we're adding to the human capital base right here in northern Nevada, and many of these students are going out as interns into companies, and many of them then get hired. We can talk about the companies, for example, like Tesla. It's big, and they're now taking quite a few interns, and many of those interns come from the University of Nevada, Reno. And that nice thing about getting an internship is that the company gets to look at you really well for maybe a 3-month internship and determine whether or not they'd like to hire you. And they will be hiring a lot. And they do make it very clear that they hire broadly, but at the same time they need lots of engineers.
Now, that's exactly right. And what we're hearing from a lot of the new companies that come here is that they struggle to find employees with the right skill sets. So what new programs is the university offering to kind of tailor to what is needed?
Okay, the College of Engineering is probably the most flexible in how they've responded to industries coming to Nevada. When renewable energy was really hot for a time, the College of Engineering created a minor for a range of engineering fields, a minor in renewable energy. When the autonomous drone industry started getting really hot, the autonomous cars, the engineering department created a minor in autonomous systems, and even created graduate certificates so existing engineers could come back and take 3 or 4 courses to modify their orientation and learn some specific technologies related to the drone industry. And we've done the same thing in energy storage and batteries. We've done the same thing in cybersecurity. The business school is adopting quite a range of programs in MBAs, the easy way to get an MBA so a person can continue to work while working on an MBA. One is the regular part-time MBA, which you get through night school. The other is an electronic MBA, which is all online. So also the College of Business is doing a lot with the training of entrepreneurship. It used to be you get a business degree, you go right into one of the big 8 accounting firms. Well, there aren't even 8 big accounting firms anymore. But entrepreneurship really does work in the environment of the new Nevada.
Now, a lot of the programs you mentioned, specifically the tech ones, have traditionally suffered in terms of diversity. Not a lot of women going into them, not a lot of people of color. And I know the university is putting forward some effort to change that. So tell me what you're doing and why.
We want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get an education and go into the various professions. Take, for example, the growth of women in engineering and women in science. We actually have an organization called, I like to call them the Wise Women. That's the Women in Science and Engineering. And it's an organization of women with faculty advisors who are women scientists and women engineers to really encourage women to get over the notion that engineering or science is not for a women's field. It certainly is a field for women. And in terms of diversity in terms of ethnic background, for example, we do a great amount of activity to across all students to build comfort in coming to the university and feeling like people belong at the university. So we have a Center for Student Cultural Diversity called Every Student, Every Story, to provide a social environment, a study environment, really focus on attracting people of different ethnic backgrounds and to form a small community in a large university. We work really hard at gaining respect for diverse individuals from the LGBTQIA community, from international students, different races, different abilities. So we put a lot of effort into making everyone feel comfortable on campus, and in addition, making it possible for students of different ethnic backgrounds, for example, to work together on teams and study together. And they all figure out that when you're working on a problem, it doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, you're focusing on solving a problem.
And, you know, being exposed to different cultures is a whole part of going to college.
It's part of going to college. We're trying to bring in more international students here for the same reason. And I think we're doing well. We must be doing well because we're growing in terms of number of students. Every year we also grow in the proportion of students of color.
Right.
So we're like 37% of all of our students are students of color. Okay,
well, we only have a few minutes left, but I do want to touch on this. There was a little bit of a roadblock in your diversity efforts at the beginning of the school year, and that would be the UNR student who participated in the Charlottesville protests. There was some backlash on campus, calls for him to be expelled, fired from his campus job, and you, you know, came out saying that that was not going to happen. So quickly, can you kind of tell us your reasoning?
Yeah, very quickly. We made our statements that we are against bigotry, we're against white nationalism, white supremacy. We support diversity and inclusion. But by the same token, we protect everyone's right to free speech. And this young man was displaying his right to free speech by going across the country to support a cause. So it was very important for us to support free speech and make the statement very clearly that we do not support white supremacy or bigotry. And it was a wonderful opportunity to bring our faculty together, bring our students together to reaffirm those values.
Has there been backlash since that decision?
There's some continuous conversation about it, but it's not been very much of a continuing backlash.
Okay, we can move on then. You also added some implicit bias training for your staff members, which is a really interesting thing, I think, that we can touch on real quick.
Yes, we have tried several things to attract more faculty of color onto our campus. And we're making some headway, but it's too slow. So we want to make sure that before anyone looks at applications for faculty employment, that they go through an implicit bias training to make sure that they're not displaying bias implicitly, unknowingly, about, well, gee, this candidate looks a lot like me and they're interested in the same thing I'm interested in. Those aren't the foundations for hiring faculty. We want a diverse faculty with a diverse group of ideas, so we are taking all members of search committees through the implicit bias training so that we can be objective in the way we hire people.
Okay, last question with 1 minute left. If you could wave a magic wand, number one thing on your wish list, what would you do?
We want to have really well-prepared students continuing to come to campus, graduate in 4 years, and go into the industries so that we can replace them with a new set of students getting the same degrees.
Feasible goals.
These are feasible.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Okay, any final words with our last few seconds?
We think the University of Nevada, Reno is just a great place to go to school. We work very well with the rest of the institutions of higher education in the state, and we are here to serve our students, and we're here to serve the industries of the new Nevada.
All right, Art Johnson, thank you so much for your time. I sure
And
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that is it for this episode of Face the State, but for more information on all this or to see past episodes, you can just head to our website, ktvn.com. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you next week.